This young lad named Sinbad was born on a stormy, turbulent night, but possessed boundless strength. Even the most formidable witches in the village had to watch out for Sinbad's power. Years later, Sinbad's father, named Ba, was at a tavern when soldiers unexpectedly arrived, not with dire news but to reward him with a large sum for his wartime heroism. However, Ba declined the money and left without a backward glance. Originally a small town, the Batavia Empire became a mighty kingdom in just 3 short years, thanks to its aggressive conquests. One day, as Ba was preparing to fish, he found Sinbad already on the boat and had no choice but to bring his son along. Caught in a sudden storm, they lost their way, but Sinbad, with his extraordinary powers, guided them home. Ba realized then the immense strength his son held. While they were having lunch, strangers arrived, causing trouble. It turned out the Pardavi Empire wanted to invade another country, and Ba was summoned to fight but refused, earning the label of a traitor. Following a severe beating, Sinbad, unable to stand it any longer and thinking his father a coward for not fighting back, was angry with him all day. Distraught, Ba remained silent, while Sinbad, fetching water, encountered a strange sight, a wounded man by the well. The kind-hearted Sinbad's family took the man, Darius, a merchant shipwreck survivor, into their home. Curious, Sinbad climbed on Darius and inquired about his blonde hair, leading Darius to explain the diversity of human appearances worldwide. Seeing his son enjoying Darius's company, Ba allowed him to stay. Nightly, Sinbad listened to Darius's fascinating stories until Darius planned to leave, but Sinbad didn't want to part with him. Suddenly, guards stormed in to capture a spy from an enemy empire, revealing Darius's true identity. Darius fought off the guards and took Sinbad hostage. Ba, learning of this, pleaded for his son's release to no avail, forcing him to kill Darius. Ultimately, Ba was drafted for harboring a spy and exposed his scar-ridden body, a testament to the horrors of war he'd witnessed. And yet, the naive common folk were cheering on wars just to grab more land. Witnessing his father's outcry for justice, Sinbad then realized just how brave his dad was. But fate had its say, and Ba sacrificed himself in a battle against the Rim Empire. 9 years later, a mysterious dungeon suddenly appeared on the border between the Batavia and Rim Empires, sparking a fierce competition to uncover its mystical powers. Yet, any soldier who entered the dungeon met their doom. By then, Sinbad had grown into a mature young man. With continuous wars, the Batavia Empire became increasingly chaotic, with looting and killing at every corner. While a convoy carrying goods to the port was ambushed by robbers, Sinbad heroically appeared from a nearby building and swiftly dealt with the bandits using basic combat skills. Impressed by the beautiful ladies in the convoy, Sinbad offered to escort them to safety, not missing the chance to flirt along the way. The ladies, smitten, gifted Sinbad some fruit in gratitude, which surprisingly contained a young man named Junan, a homeless wanderer with a peculiar penchant for squeezing into dark, cramped spaces. Kind-hearted Sinbad took Junan home for a while. Upon Sinbad's return to the village, the children joyously greeted him, as he always brought gifts home, earning the village's affection. Sinbad also helped with various chores around the village. Junan was delighted with Sinbad's dark and small house, fitting his odd preferences perfectly. Sinbad's mother was gravely ill, leaving him to tend to all household tasks. The next day, a commander named Dragon arrived to conscript Sinbad, accusing him of dodging military duty. In reality, Sinbad opposed Pardavia's policy of conquering other nations and refused to enlist. Dragon loudly warned Sinbad that continued disobedience would be deemed treason. Sinbad argued that persisting in dungeon conquests and ongoing wars would only lead to the empire's downfall. However, Junan persuaded Sinbad to explore the dungeon, suggesting they could find the power of a supreme deity within, which could change Batavia and even the world. Convinced, Sinbad decided to join the military expedition. Before leaving, his mother gave him his late father's sword, advising him to follow the path his heart dictates. Being the youngest in his family, Dragon was always treated poorly by everyone in the royal palace, except for the esteemed Princess Shirin, who was always kind to him as if he were her own brother. The following day, Dragon led hundreds of soldiers to conquer the dungeon, but Sinbad suddenly appeared, claiming the treasure inside was his. Guided by Junan, Sinbad swiftly entered the dungeon, where a strange landscape filled with high rocky cliffs unfolded before him. Suddenly, hundreds of blue monsters attacked them. Dragon's army was nearly wiped out by the creatures, but thankfully, Sinbad saved Dragon from being pushed into an abyss. While discussing their next steps, a gigantic dragon flew over them, and they realized they must defeat it to proceed through the next gate. Dragon tried to bypass the dragon to reach a gate behind it, but couldn't open it despite his efforts. Hearing the noise, the dragon quickly attacked, sending Dragon into a panic. But Sinbad arrived just in time to save him from being blown away, thus saving Dragon's life twice. Courageously, Sinbad borrowed Dragon's shield to battle the dragon alone. With his innate talent, Sinbad skated on the underground water surface and charged, striking the dragon's head, turning it to dust. They found 2 gems inside the dragon, which helped them open the gate. Only then did Dragon acknowledge Sinbad's immense power. Inside, they found a room full of ancient artifacts. Sinbad touched a magical lamp, and instantly, everything around them turned to gold and silver. Moments later, a genie named Ban emerged, declaring that whoever he granted power to would become a king. Upon hearing this, the two immediately fought for the power. Dragon, with his military training, had superior swordsmanship, but Sinbad's unparalleled strength allowed him to deliver a thunderous punch to Dragon, knocking him unconscious. In his fading consciousness, Dragon thought of Princess Siren, the woman he secretly adored, saddened by the news of her impending marriage to his brother. Winning the duel, the genie merged with Sinbad's sword, endowing him with immense power. In an instant, Sinbad was transported outside, surrounded by a treasure trove of gold and jewels. Upon seeing Sinbad, the guards aimed to seize the genie's power from him, but Junan intervened, showing Sinbad how to summon the genie. The genie granted Sinbad the power of lightning, enabling him to defeat all the guards. With a mere gesture, Junan then whisked Sinbad back to his village. However, upon his return, Sinbad learned his mother was on her deathbed and could only exchange one last look with him before passing away forever. After acquiring the genie's power, Sinbad's fame spread far and wide, making him a target for the empire. Princess Shiren led troops to capture him, but Sinbad easily overcame them and escaped the tumultuous Parthivia Empire. Following his first dungeon conquest, numerous dungeons began appearing worldwide, marking the start of Sinbad's journey to conquer them. On a journey to the icy north, Sinbad encountered a towering man and his sister battling a sea monster. Overwhelmed, they were cast into the sea, but Sinbad intervened, rescuing them and astonishingly defeating the monster with his lightning power. Meanwhile, after his defeat to Sinbad, Dragon was reprimanded by the Parthivia Emperor and given one last chance to eliminate Sinbad. When Papyrika awoke, mistakenly believing her brother had vanquished the monster, she was joyous. Sinbad, struck by her beauty, attempted to flirt, but she dismissed him as foolish. In the northern tribes, men must hunt sea monsters to be recognized as warriors. Ashamed, Haina didn't reveal that Sinbad was the true victor. The next day, Haina and Papyrika took Sinbad to their village, where everyone was unusually tall. Their father, the tribe leader, informed them of a new dungeon and planned to send Haina and others to investigate. However, Sinbad warned them of the dangers inside, knowing well the perils that lay within these mysterious dungeons. When people discovered that Sinbad was the first to explore the dungeon, they were utterly astonished, and the tribe chief showed him greater respect, as the northern tribes highly value strength. That night, a feast was organized to celebrate Haina officially becoming a warrior, yet he felt conflicted because the achievement wasn't truly his own. After indulging in the feast, Sinbad returned to his room and dreamt of beautiful sisters. Meanwhile, a young assassin named Jaffa, sent by Dragon, entered the village to kill Sinbad. However, Sinbad immediately detected Jaffa and used a lightning strike to defeat the boy. Sinbad then tied up Jaffa to interrogate who had sent the youngster to attack him. Jaffa's disrespectful response infuriated Sinbad, who slapped him as a lesson. But the crafty kid managed to untie himself and escape the village unnoticed. Haina admired Sinbad's bravery, facing danger without fear, aspiring to be strong like him, and ventured into the dungeon. The next morning, Papyrika frantically informed Sinbad that Haina had gone to the dungeon. Sensing trouble, Sinbad quickly followed. Haina believed conquering the dungeon would grant him immense power like Sinbad's. Upon entering, Haina saw beautiful butterflies, but one landing on his hand revealed they were flesh-eating creatures. With no escape, Haina jumped into the water to avoid them. Deeper in the dungeon, Haina found the treasure room's gate guarded by a giant crab, which was swiftly killed by Dragon's assassins, who then found a crystal key on it to the treasure room. Haina fought Dragon's group for the key, but they transformed into powerful demons, overpowering Haina. Just then, Sinbad arrived, using his lightning power to save Haina. Jaffa attacked Sinbad for revenge, but before he could strike, Sinbad punched him. However, Dragon shot Sinbad's arm, aiding Jaffa's attack. Haina intervened, pulling Sinbad underwater to escape, a witch with Dragon froze the lake, trying to kill them. Meanwhile, Dragon's group searched the treasure room for the genie's power. Upon touching a necklace, a canine-headed genie appeared, but it quickly realized that the witch-following dragon was not real, but merely a puppet. The real body of the witch was still in the Partivia Empire with Dragon's brother. The dog-faced genie Valifer suddenly shrank into a puppy with a goofy expression, and Sinbad along with Hyena reached the treasure room to vie for the genie's power against Dragon. Seeing everyone gathered, Valifer proposed a game. He conjured a dim-witted cat and told them to catch it. Whoever caught the cat before the water clock ran out would gain the genie's power. Failure meant death for all. Sinbad urged everyone to unite and capture the cat, emphasizing the need to escape before time ran out. He promised not to join the game, not wishing to compete for power. Then, he signaled everyone to charge at the cat simultaneously, but the cat cleverly leaped high to avoid capture. Surprisingly, the trickster Lord Sinbad seized the moment to snatch the hovering cat. Everyone was furious at Sinbad's betrayal, but he explained his need for the power to change the world, promising to create a joyful world for all. Then, a swarm of fireflies glowed behind Sinbad, swaying those he had just deceived with his sincere words. However, Jaffa's assassin group suddenly collapsed, struck down by the witch. Then, a swarm of dark moths formed a massive monster, contrasting Sinbad's light representing fireflies. The dark moths symbolized evil. Sinbad resolved to save Jaffa's group, wanting to recruit them into his army. Valifer revealed that the monster's core was linked to Jaffa's group, draining their energy, so destroying the core would save them. Hearing this, Sinbad and the others charged to battle the monster, aiming to destroy its core. He succeeded in severing one of the monster's arms, but the witch used her puppet to steal Sinbad's sword. The witch claimed she acted for Dragon's brother, who wanted Dragon dead out of frustration with his brother's ineptitude. But most importantly, the brother knew of Dragon's feelings for Siren. Since he was to marry Sharon, he wanted to eliminate his rival, Dragon. As the monster attacked Dragon, Hyena quickly intervened to save him. But without a sword, Sinbad volunteered to distract the monster, allowing Hyena to defeat it. However, the monster caught Sinbad and squeezed him, causing excruciating pain and a loud scream. Luckily, Dragon timely climbed onto its head and delivered a powerful stab to save Sinbad. Dragon also declared to the witch that he would return to the Pavatai Empire to avenge the misdeeds of his brother. Following that, Sinbad and Dragon jointly attacked the monster, pinning it down for Hyena to retrieve his spear. Hyena's spear thrust into the monster's chest, decisively defeating it. Meanwhile, Sinbad, seizing a moment of the witch's inattention, rushed forward, sliced her puppet, and reclaimed his sword. The dark moths dispersed from Jaffa's team members. Yet a new swarm burst forth from Jaffa, forming another beast. It turned out the witch had cast a spell on the boy to create this new monster. Sinbad laid his hands on Jaffa, channeling all his might to save the young boy. He generated a colossal thunderbolt to draw out all the dark moths. After a strenuous effort, he successfully rescued Jaffa, leaving everyone in awe. Once the battle concluded, the genie Valifer reset everything to normal and prepared to bestow power upon one of them. However, all unanimously chose Sinbad after witnessing his capabilities. They knelt down, pledging loyalty to Sinbad henceforth. Immediately after, Valifer endowed Sinbad with ultimate power, expelling the others from the Red Lotus. Outside, Hina's father and the villagers also arrived to celebrate their victory. While everyone decided to stay with Sinbad, Dragon chose to return to Partivia to protect Princess Shiren, promising to serve Sinbad after his mission. Valifer granted Dragon a fragment of power, now that he had become a member of Sinbad's team. That night, the tribe held another feast to celebrate Hyena becoming a true warrior. Hyena sought permission from his father to follow Sinbad to change the world. He also went to the neighboring village to propose to the chieftain's daughter, Rumuru, whom he had long secretly adored. The chieftain, knowing Hina's bravery, agreed to the union. Later, Sinbad established a large trading fleet named Sindoria. They set sail to pursue their ambitions. Aboard the ship, Rumuru required Sinbad and Jaffa to learn the etiquette and speech of true merchants. Any errors would result in a reprimand, so the two diligently complied. Days later, they finally reached the port city of Napoli in the Rim Empire. Rim is the world's most powerful nation with an extremely prosperous economy. Sinbad and his companions set up a stall to sell products from the northern tribes. Their handsome charm quickly attracted many women to buy. However, a group of guards reminded them that trading without a permit was not allowed. They needed a business license from the trade guild first. Suddenly, a mysterious man appeared, offering to buy their entire stock. Eager to avoid carrying the goods back, Sinbad immediately agreed. The man paid them a hefty sum, delighting everyone. But soon, they discovered he had sold the goods for 5 times the price, making Sinbad realize they were still novices in business. Yet, Sinbad was excited to learn business tactics from this rival. He told everyone to head back north and bring another shipment. They would start anew. Meanwhile, Sinbad aimed to obtain a business license from the guild. He gave all the money to his companions for new goods, keeping only a little for daily expenses. While wandering in the market, Sinbad unexpectedly met the man from the morning and invited him for a meal to discuss business strategies. The man introduced himself as Haroun, a merchant from Bouken, and was astonished to learn Sinbad had conquered the Red Lotus. During the meal, Sinbad shared his adventures with Haroun, who found them fascinating but wondered how Sinbad would use the Red Lotus's power. Sinbad shared his dream of founding a new nation. Haroun admired Sinbad's ambition. From their talk, Sinbad learned he needed 1,000 gold coins and a recommendation from another merchant to get a license. Haroun challenged Sinbad to earn the coins within a month. If successful, he would provide the recommendation. That night, Sinbad stayed up, brainstorming ways to gather the gold. A sudden idea struck him when his sword fell. A month later, upon returning to Rim, Haroun saw Sinbad captivating an audience with his tales. Sinbad, known for his storytelling prowess, added dramatic flair to engage his listeners. Despite his hard work, he hadn't gathered the 1,000 gold coins. Yet, Haroun threw him a bag of gold as a reward for his performance. Grateful, Sinbad asked to apprentice under Haroun to learn business, only to be surprised to learn Haroun was the reigning king of Bouken. Meanwhile, on the ship, Jaffa couldn't stand Ramira's strict rules anymore and insisted on returning to Rim to join Sinbad. It was then Ramira realized teaching a killer like Jaffa was no easy feat. Yet, she knew Jaffa always strived to be a strong support for Sinbad. Suddenly, Ramira collapsed, revealing she was about to have a baby, so she tasked Jaffa with learning midwifery and childcare. Jaffa felt overwhelmed, caught between being an assassin and a midwife. Meanwhile, Haroun helped Sinbad obtain a business license from the trade guild. But Haroun felt Sinbad still lacked experience, advising him to continue performing at the theater to become a youth idol. Once famous, trading would become much easier. Excited by the idea, Sinbad eagerly parted with Haroun to plan his upcoming performance. Thanks to Jaffa's help, Ramira gave birth to a chubby boy named Kirikou. However, they left the child for Jaffa to care for, focusing on other matters. In Rim, thousands gathered at the arena to watch Sinbad perform. Sinbad used Valifer's ice power to create a stunning scene, thrilling the audience with a spectacle they'd never seen before. Everyone enjoyed Sinbad's dungeon exploration stories, quickly spreading his fame across the Rim Empire. When Hina's group returned to Rim, Haroun sent someone to bring them to the arena. They were surprised by Sinbad's popularity. Absorbed in the performance, Jaffa lost track of Hina's mischievous son Kirikou. In a panic, Jaffa searched the arena and found Kirikou entering a monster's cage. Bravely, Jaffa fought the monster to save Kirikou, using his top skills, but the creature's strength overwhelmed him. At a critical moment, Jaffa received power from the genie ban, quickly using it to bind and defeat the monster. Exhausted from the battle, Jaffa fainted. Sinbad helped return Kirikou to his parents and waited for Jaffa to awaken. Jaffa recounted to Sinbad how he accidentally received Ban's power, enabling him to vanquish the monster. After hearing Jaffa's story, Sinbad wasn't too surprised and encouraged him to keep honing his newfound powers. Thanks to his successful performances, Sinbad quickly earned a significant sum, building a grand headquarters for the Sindoria trade group, earning everyone's admiration. Knowing Sinbad had gained experience, Haroun bid his pupil farewell to return and govern the Bouken kingdom. Sinbad continued his diligent money-making, aspiring to establish his own nation one day. The next day, Sinbad took Hina and Jaffa to the Sarsan kingdom to sign a trade agreement. However, it was a challenging task since Sarsan was an isolationist country, its people brainwashed to believe the outside world was corrupt, never interacting with foreign visitors. Unable to ask locals for directions, Sinbad's group searched on their own. They approached Sarsan's trade guild manager to sign a trade deal but were rejected, as Sarsan had never engaged in external trade. Yet, Sinbad remained undeterred, believing that befriending this nation could lead to a trade agreement. The manager, seeing Sinbad's determination, advised meeting Sarsan's knights to learn about their culture. The next day, seizing an opportunity when Sarsan knights passed by, Sinbad shouted to speak with the king but was shooed away by guards due to his unkempt appearance. Still, Sinbad persistently visited the knight's headquarters, seeking friendship, but was consistently ignored. Being foreigners, Sinbad's group was segregated in a guest house, making the agreement seem impossible. However, Sinbad was unfazed, focusing instead on the local beauties. Suddenly, a knight named Maestrus covertly approached them but got scolded by the innkeeper. Learning Maestrus was King Darius' son, Sinbad used his charm to persuade the innkeeper to let them converse. The innkeeper, swayed by Sinbad's looks, softened immediately. Eager to learn about the outside world, Maestrus listened intently to Sinbad, who gifted him his journal and boasted about being the first to conquer a dungeon. Enthralled by Sinbad's tales, Maestrus decided to flee his country to follow him. However, on the day Maestrus planned to escape and meet Sinbad, King Darius discovered his intentions. Maestrus didn't hesitate to express his desire to leave the country in search of freedom in the outside world. However, King Darius slapped him to bring him to his senses. Despite this, Maestrus was determined to leave. His brother Spartos tried to stop him, but failed, as Maestrus was fed up with the kingdom. He went to Sinbad's group, pleading to take him along. While the group was wandering the market, Sinbad unexpectedly encountered Junon, who informed him that many new dungeons had appeared worldwide, with various nations sending people to conquer them. Even King Darius of Sarsen possessed the power of a genie. After their conversation, Junon vanished, leaving everyone astonished. Meanwhile, to leave, Maestrus had to defeat the strongest knights of Sarsen, with his final opponent being King Darius. However, Darius used his genie's power, creating an impenetrable shield to block Maestrus's attacks, quickly defeating him. As Darius was about to finish his rebellious son, Sinbad intervened. When the guards tried to stop him, Sinbad unleashed a massive thunderbolt, stunning everyone. Sinbad argued that Darius's fight with Maestrus was unfair since Darius used genie power while Maestrus only had his weapon. Sinbad proposed to fight Darius in Maestrus's place, stating that if he won, the king must allow Maestrus to leave and sign a trade agreement with the Sindoria trade group. Maestrus, fearing Sinbad couldn't beat his father, tried to intervene, but Sinbad was determined. The battle between the two genie power holders then commenced. Sinbad advanced, using his sword to attack Darius. He launched a lightning bolt, but Darius' shield reflected it. Nevertheless, Sinbad noticed Darius wasn't fully adept with his genie power. Seeing a chance to win, Sinbad manifested an armor called the Demon Equipment, astonishing everyone. This armor shielded him from the genie's power, making him untouchable. Sinbad then launched a powerful lightning bolt at Darius, lifting him and the shield out of the palace. High in the sky, Sinbad suddenly dropped Darius to have a conversation. The fall left Darius dazed, but he refused to concede, wanting to continue the duel. Sinbad casually unleashed a massive lightning bolt, demonstrating his superior power. Realizing the vast gap in strength, Darius was shocked by Sinbad's might. Sinbad, gaining the upper hand, used another move that obliterated mountains, confidently stating he could easily destroy the country if he wished. And with King Darius' current strength, he stood no chance against Sinbad. However, Sinbad clarified that he didn't come for battle, but to sign a trade treaty with Sarsen. Following this, Sinbad escorted King Darius back to the royal palace. To save face for Darius, Sinbad claimed their duel ended in a draw. King Darius informed his knights that Sinbad, too, was chosen by the divine and possessed genie power, deciding to form an alliance with him. This decision was warmly received by all Sarsen knights. That afternoon, King Darius stepped out to bid farewell to Maestrus as he embarked on his journey with Sinbad, entrusting him with the mission to escort Sinbad as a sign of their steadfast alliance. Maestrus' brother, Spartos, also ran to see them off. Maestrus was thrilled to see the ocean and the outside world for the first time, but he felt a bit awkward when he learned their next destination was the female-dominated kingdom of Artemira. Like Sinbad, Maestrus had a penchant for women but had to feign shyness to avoid teasing. Sinbad and his crew then set sail to Artemira, located in the southern continent. Reaching this kingdom required navigating through a massive water crevice, a path seldom traversed. As they sailed into the crevice, they suddenly spotted a gigantic bird with two beautiful girls on its back. The girls flirted with the long single young man, but they hadn't met a seasoned flirt like Sinbad, who countered their advances without a hint of hesitation, causing the girls to retreat in embarrassment. The group disembarked and continued on foot to Artemira at the crevice's end. However, Sinbad soon grew exhausted, unaccustomed to mountain climbing. Accustomed to cold climates, Haina also struggled with the hot weather. Sinbad thought of using his demon equipment to fly there quickly, but Jeff objected, fearing it might make them appear hostile to Artemira. After some deliberation, they decided to continue on foot through the night. As dawn broke, they finally reached Artemira, surprised to find the locals digging caves for homes in the cliffside. They also realized they reeked from a day without bathing. With no inns or hotels for rest, they had no choice but to approach the royal palace to request the queen's hospitality. When the group approached the queen, she seemed unresponsive. It turned out that the woman standing next to them, disguised as a guard, was the actual queen, observing Sinbad's group incognito. However, the queen promptly dismissed them, unwilling to discuss business with men, whom she believed only brought pain to women. Sinbad attempted his usual charm, but such tactics couldn't sway the queen, who became even more infuriated and ordered her soldiers to imprison them all. Realizing Sinbad possessed genie power, she confiscated his sword to prevent any surprise attacks. The queen then had Sinbad's group stripped of their clothes and thrown into a ravine. Haina, luckily due to his handsome appearance, was spared to serve as a tribute to the women there. After being thrown into the ravine, Sinbad's group found no food, but fortunately, Mistress had 2 pieces of dried meat on him. Understanding the situation, Jaffa let Mistress have the first piece, as it was his food. Sinbad, however, thoughtlessly ate the other piece without sharing. That night, they discovered venomous snakes crawling over them, but hunger drove Jaffa to kill and cook the snakes for everyone. Over the following days, they adapted to their harsh new life, eating raw snake meat. However, Mistress was disturbed by how they were starting to resemble wild men and resolved to escape to preserve their dignity. Sinbad and Jaffa, content with their fill, showed little interest in escaping. Mistress's true motive for leaving was to reunite with the beautiful women above. While scouting the valley, Mistress stumbled upon a large piece of meat, suspecting it was dropped from above as a clue to escape. But the gluttonous duo immediately grilled it for a barbecue. Sinbad discovered some precious gems stuck to the meat and, upon returning to where Mistress found it, they uncovered more meat, hinting at a possible escape route. But when Sinbad and Jaffa were about to cook the meat, a flock of giant birds descended, stealing all the meat and gems, revealing the locals used the meat to collect gems from the valley, a task typically left to men in matriarchal Artemira. Sinbad saw this as an opportunity to escape by hiding in the meat chunks. The queen, preparing for bed, was startled by Sinbad's sudden intrusion. He tried to charm her again to retrieve his confiscated sword, but she drew her divine weapon to teach him a lesson. They summoned their divine armors and clashed on the mountainside. The queen's weapon, possessing fire, ice, and lightning powers, nearly overpowered Sinbad. However, he used Valifer's power to reduce her speed and ultimately used his freezing ability to defeat her. Finally, the queen agreed to discuss and sign a trade treaty with the Sindoria trade group. She wondered why Sinbad sought treaties with other nations. He explained his vision of a peaceful nation without war, requiring alliances for global peace. The queen warned him of a powerful witch from the Rim Empire, hinting at an imminent confrontation with a formidable foe who had empowered Rim for over 2 centuries. The queen was unaware of the true identity of the witch, but she learned that this witch was a Magi. Magi are individuals capable of creating dungeons with a mere wave of their hand. They guide those they deem worthy to explore these dungeons. Sinbad quickly deduced that Junan must also be a Magi. After the conversation with the queen, Mistress eagerly wanted to meet and chat with the beautiful women there. Suddenly, Haina appeared after being used as an experiment by the ladies. Mistress felt extremely jealous of Haina, who had been enjoying time with the beautiful women above while the rest struggled in the ravine. Annoyed, Sinbad invited Mistress to a nearby tavern to meet some women, but they were shocked to find only men serving there, so they left disappointed. After returning from the tavern, Sinbad and Mistress remained uneasy. Hence, the queen assigned a beautiful female warrior to accompany them and maintain communication between the 2 parties. The queen also introduced her daughters to Sinbad. The youngest, named Pisti, showed a keen interest in Sinbad, even asking him to carry her. A few days later, Sinbad and his trade group returned to the Rim Empire to continue his journey toward establishing his peaceful nation. The story concludes here. If you enjoyed it, don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to support us in creating more great content.